Amanda Knox is here, you guys, and I spoke about this week because I started the show, as the world has, on Hulu. It's called The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox. Grace Van Patten plays you. Stunning. She was here too. She was here, right before she left for Budapest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Oh.
she was like, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool." When she told us about the project, I was like, "That is insane, and what a leap from what she has done, and so different." And
You'll have to have her back on to talk about the whole process because, wow, I think that I mean, I didn't know her personally before all of this. Like, I saw that she was I saw from her previous work that she's very versatile, she's very professional, but, like, the journey that she had to go on to take on this role,
yeah,
just the emotional journey of, like, this very extreme circumstance, the worst experience of my life, the best experiences of my life, this wide age range. Like, she had to show this, like, personal evolution from, like, really young, innocent, 20-year-old to, like, haunted, 35-year-old with a mission, and then to do it in English and Italian. Like, the she worked her ass off for this role,
wow.
and I'm so proud of her, and I hope that she gets all the awards for her work on it because she fricking deserves it, and I feel like if any like, there are so many reasons to watch this show, but, like,
Yeah,
of all of those that I was not, like, expecting, it's like, this is a huge moment for Grace.
like, watch the
Just
story, but watch her
but watch
performance.
her
I'm telling you,
performance.
I was getting physical anxiety watching her get anxiety.
Yes.
I feel like she plays that so well, the anxious and everyone screaming at her at the same time, like, it's almost you feel like you are there.
Well, and that was the whole point. I
Yeah,
mean, you're referring to the interrogation scene,
correct.
which is the big scene in the 2nd episode, which is of those that have released, those are the 2 that have released the 1st and 2nd episode. And, I mean, talk about just, like, the emotional journey her character goes on in those 2 episodes. Like, she comes to Perugia just bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to have the world happen to her, and then the world happens to her, and it, like, bears its weight on her, and she's, like, having, like, to navigate all of that in a state of, like, confusion and not, like and miscommunication and just awkwardness, and, like, she plays all of that so, so well.
You almost see no, she actually doesn't get that this is going this way,
Exactly.
which I'm around your age, and I studied abroad in Barcelona in 2009, you were in 2007, like, we lived your story, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
remember it, thought about it, the press of it all, everyone talking about it, but never were we able to see it from really your point of view, and I think that's what's so special about the show.
Yeah.
But seeing her play those moments of yeah, because she didn't think
No,
it would
yeah.
have she had no idea until she doesn't have any idea, like, what the show portrays at this moment is she doesn't even know why she thinks she's a witness
Yeah.
until
Yes.
I'm saying she and it's you.
Yeah, yeah, no, but I've also had to do that, like, different like, this like, break myself off from, like, okay, yes, Amanda in this moment,
Yeah,
like, now it's really nice because I can have, like, Grace stand in for me in my brain sometimes, and it's, like, the relief of having to just, like, relive the actual memories, it sort of takes the edge off
yeah.
because I can be like, "Yes," like, Grace, Amanda, me, walks into this room with a completely different idea about what is happening. She's just answering a few questions while she's waiting for her boyfriend to be done answering a few questions. She's been doing the same thing, answering those same questions over and over again throughout, 5 days of questioning, all because, she's trying to help the police figure out what happened to her roommate. She has no idea what happened, like, she doesn't know, and she has no idea that she's about to enter into a trap. And it's this psychological journey of, like, coming to that realization over and over and sort of, like, pushing back and being like, "Wait, why are you talking to me like this?" Like, and not understanding why they're angry at her. They're angry at her because I don't speak Italian well enough, like,
The
all
language as of you first of all, I feel like that adds to the anxiety, which I'm sure was this was obviously what happened, but also a choice to really throw us into it. Like,
Yes.
that's what's happening. You're being screamed at Italian. You don't understand what they're saying. Then there was a translator somewhere saying it in English, and you're trying to think, like,
Yep.
and that's so, by the way, that comes across
Awesome.
greatly, but that bugged me. I was like, "Get it," first of all, at the beginning, "Get her a translator.
Yeah.
Get her a translator." Like,
Yeah.
how are you expecting, but it was that Perugia at that time where, like, "Sorry, we don't speak English,"
Yeah, I
even
mean,
though the
this is not Rome.
right,
This isn't the this isn't the big police force. This is a small town,
right.
and this is the people who are there. These are the law enforcement authority figures. Like, there are only so many people who actually speak English.
It's crazy.
And so, especially when they call you in the middle of the night, there's only so many people who are going to be awake to
Right.
call to speak English. And clearly, I mean, I think the thing that also the show really shows that was unbeknownst to me at the time is that the police were targeting me from very early on, but in this sort of, like, unspecified way, like, they hadn't fully wrapped their minds around, like, what they thought had happened. They just were very convinced early on that I knew something that I wasn't saying, and so they thought, "If we can just put her in the right conditions under the right amount of pressure, we're gonna crack her and we're gonna get the truth out of her," and that's what they're thinking. And in the meantime, I'm just like, I literally have no idea what happened to my roommate, and I'm telling you everything I could possibly know, and I don't understand why that doesn't seem to be enough for you. Like, I'm giving you everything I have, and there's nothing more to give, and until they just convince me that I'm crazy. Like, it's just
And
a
by the way, this happens, like, my husband is super into, like, so many people, like, murder mysteries
Sure,
and
sure.
crime junkies and all those things. So I've watched so many, like, documentaries with him and so many interrogational moments, and this is the thing, this wasn't just a you thing.
Yeah.
This happens where they're trying to pin it on somebody, lead it that way,
Mhm.
crack them through this, like, intense,
Coercive
coercive.
questioning process. It involves lies and it involves gaslighting. Yeah, no, it's that, like, of all of the scenes in this whole series,
Yeah.
I feel like that is the scene where my advocate self is coming through because I'm like, there's been so much resistance on the part of just, I think, the general public, but especially law enforcement to recognize that, like, what happens behind closed doors in interrogation rooms is not okay. Like, it's not actually doing justice, and it's thwarting the course of justice, and there are very common sense, like, things that we can do to prevent the kinda thing that happened to me from happening, and, like, for those who think that this was just a thing that happened in Italy, the exact same kind of interrogation techniques happen here in the United States, and so it was really, really important for me and obviously everyone that I worked with. KJ Steinberg, the creator and showrunner, she did so much research and she talked to so many experts, and just to get, like, a sense of, like, trying to understand what is the psychology not just of the person who's being interrogated, who's being led to imagine alternative realities, and, like, being led to believe that these alternative realities might actually be her real memories instead of the ones that she thinks are her real, like, this whole,
Because
like,
maybe you blacked it out.
this whole psychological, like, mind games that are being played, but also, like, what is the psychology of the interrogators? How are they leading themselves to believe a story? And how does that story become this boulder that gains momentum as it rolls faster and faster down the hill?
Have you connected with other people that have been in your situation?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. In fact, I have a podcast called Hard Knocks, and if you go to amandaknox.com, I've done a whole big series about false confessions where I've interviewed other people who have gone through the exact same experience. And so you
It's a
get,
common
like,
thing.
it's a very common thing, and, like, weirdly, much more in, like, high stakes cases. You'd think that maybe, like, if you're accused of a lesser crime, and this is an issue with, like, the guilty plea sort of situation where somebody's like, "Well, no one's gonna believe me, so I might as well just say I'm guilty and I'll just get it over with. It's a minor crime, whatever." But, like, you'd think that in a case where you're being accused of murder and, like, your life is at stake, you would never, implicate yourself. But no, like, that's when the police really start using this, like, very pressured technique to make you feel like you are crazy or there's no way to escape, and you just have to tell them what they wanna hear.
Tell me why you decided to do the show now, or
Mm.
how it came up, or has it come up before and you didn't wanna do it? Or tell us more
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. So, I mean, ever since I came home from prison, I've had people come to me and say, "Your story is insane. We would love to tell your story." And I resisted for a really long time because it didn't really feel like my story, right? Like what happened? Two young women go to study abroad in Bruges, Italy. They're, 2021, and only one of them survives. The end. Like what a horrible story that says nothing about both my roommate Meredith and me. Like it's just a bad thing that happened to us, and only one of us got to live to tell the tale and is, now living with survivor's guilt for it. Like that didn't feel like anything that said anything about me as a person, and so I didn't really feel comfortable participating in anything because I was just, a victim of this circumstance and got twisted into a villain, but that was just another way that I was victimized, and so it just felt wrong, and it felt just too like trauma-y. And it wasn't until I started really processing what this experience meant to me in my real life and how I was feeling propelled forward by it. And I started making decisions like the decision to reach out to my prosecutor and to like try to make a connection and try to understand him was when I felt like I truly was making the first move in my adult life in response to this story, a thing that really said something about who I was. I was taking action. I was not just reacting to a bad situation, I was taking action.
Tell me about your decision to do that,
Yeah.
to reach out to your prosecutor.
Well, and something I think the series does really well and something that was really important to me and Monica Lewinsky, who's executive producer on
Mhm.
the show, is where this show is exploring the long tale of trauma. Like the trauma isn't just like the overwhelming thing that happened in this moment. It's this thing that you carry with you into your life long, long afterwards as you're processing it and you're trying to make sense of it. And like one of the things that I was really tortured by in the aftermath, even after being like vindicated and freed and no longer hunted, was just like, why? Why did this like, and this is the question that any person who's been hurt asks, "Why? Why did you hurt me? Why me?
Yeah.
What," like, I had like, there's no reason for you have to have believed that I had anything to do with this crime, like, truly, it was a huge mistake. Like, what was going on in your mind? How did you look at a girl who had no motive and no precedent and no evidence that put me at the crime scene? Like, why did you think there's my rapist and murderer? Like, why? When there was clear evidence of who actually committed this crime. And I didn't want to subscribe to some of the answers to that question that were coming my way, which was there the law enforcement and prosecution in Perugia is corrupt and evil, and they don't care what the truth is. All they care about is their reputation. And and so like they're sitting there watching an innocent girls, suffer these horrible consequences and they just don't care. Like I didn't
That
believe that
wasn't
that
good
was
enough.
true.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that was true.
Yeah.
I do not think that there's that many psychopaths in the world.
What was your hunch? Like, what was your guess?
My guess, and I think that this leads to why the show is truly relevant to this day, because I think it's a really important lesson that I learned, is that there are people who believe in themselves and believe in their perception of reality so much that they are willing to impose that reality on other people and cause harm in the process, but feel justified and righteous at the same time. Like you can have the very best intentions based upon your context and your perspective and your ideology and try to enforce that reality on other people and in the process harm them, and I think that that is something that we do, like, we see in the world all the time. Like, if you think of just, like, how our country is to this day, like, it feels like we are living in a world where there are people who have completely alternate realities that they are living in, where we can't even agree on what the facts are anymore,
Right.
much less an interpretation of the facts or how to approach those facts. So, how do you have a conversation with somebody who believes that the world is the opposite of what you believe? And how do you derive truth out of that? How do you establish what truth is in a world that is just flooded with misinformation? And I think a perspective that is derived is like a motivated perspective.
So you think that he really thought his truth within himself is that he was right, so he believed it. It
Yes.
wasn't like he didn't believe and he was just like, "Let's
No.
pin it on."
He
He
believed it.
believed it.
Yes,
He
he
believed
believed
it.
it.
Back to school means schedules, long lists of to-dos, getting your kid ready for school, getting your household ready. The whole energy shifts, the vibe shifts. It's a new school year. You could check wellness off that to-do list with Ollie. Ollie is the number one kids supplement brand that offers effortless solutions for you and your family. They have a kids multi plus probiotic, and it's a tasty essential that kids love. You can also make bedtime a breeze with kids sleep. This is gentle support that helps them rest. Ollie has parents back with multivitamins that provide key nutrients for their immune system and more. If you need help shutting down at night, sleep gummies will help you get a peaceful rest. Let Ollie support you and your crew this season. Shop at ollie.com or retailers nationwide. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Sometimes I don't get it. Like I get, you know what? I get it. I get that you guys are sometimes skeptical and you get sold a lot of things and told a lot of things. But if somebody's telling you, do this for free, nobody's asking you to buy anything. But if you buy something, use this thing so you could get money back and then you don't do it, then I'm just like, I don't got it. I don't got it. I'm, of course, talking about Rakuten because when you shop with Rakuten, you can stack cash back on top of sales, on top of deals at your favorite stores like Ulta, like Fenty, so many, like Adidas. It's so easy to use. You get your cash back sent to you either through PayPal, cha-ching, or a physical check if you're dramatic and you want to feel like, I got a check in the mail. The idea is really simple, okay? The stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers like you. Rakuten shares that money with you as cash back. So all your favorite stores, think fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, and so much more. Okay. And you just use Rakuten to shop. Sign up is absolutely free and takes seconds. Guys, 17 million Rakuten members are saving. Okay. In fact, they've earned over 4.6 billion in cash back. So get in on it. Get in on it. Download the free Rakuten app or go to Rakuten.com to start saving today. That's Rakuten, Rakuten, Rakuten.com. I just got a message today, true story, of a follower who was like, fine, I ordered from Quince. I was like, hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for telling me. And I got what she's talking about because I'm always telling you about Quince and convincing you and trying to be like, guys, if you want good stuff and if you want to like refresh your wardrobe, September is coming up. I'm really all about lately, like getting rid of the old so I can really buy the new. And what I love about Quince is this isn't like a fast fashion vibe. This is really luxury, high quality essentials. They are just at better prices. They are half the cost of similar brands. You could get chic cashmere and cotton sweaters that start at just $40. Washable silk tops, classic denim, really timeless styles. I actually just ordered these clogs that I'll tell you about soon when I get them, but they look so cute. They're from Quince and they're kind of giving like a Birkenstock vibe, but they're like a cream color. I've been really, really eyeing them. Like you guys know, I've been buying from Quince for forever, from linen tops, linen pants, cashmere tops. My bed is from Quince. I have luggage from Quince. Like, I just love Quince. Elevate your fall wardrobe essentials with Quince. Go to quince.com/notskinny for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/notskinny to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/notskinny. And do you think, I mean, because I asked you before, like, what were, the versions of the truth out there? What were people saying? What were people thinking? What was your hunch? Sexism,
Sure, and yes, so now we're getting into context, right?
right?
So, like, now we have to recognize that there's cultural differences, and there are like, there's misogyny in our culture as well,
Right.
but, like, there's a certain flavor of misogyny within the Italian culture that I just was unfamiliar with and unprepared for. It meant that when I, as a young American girl, especially from like progressive Seattle, show up in this small, very Catholic, very traditional
Right.
kind of town, I stick out a little bit like a sore thumb without even realizing it and not understanding how certain ways, like certain energy that I put out or certain ways that I communicate are not going to be received the way that I normally experience them received.
Right.
And then of course there's the language barrier and there's the experience barrier. I mean, if you just look at me and my prosecutor, who are like these huge characters in the show, like one thing that we've really tried so hard to do is show not just my context, but
You
his.
do.
What
Yeah.
is his world? What is going on in like what is informing the lens through which he sees reality? And it's a very different world and a very different culture and context than what I am, like where
You're
I'm
doing
coming
him
from.
kind of like a you're doing a nice deed for him that you're doing this. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I
Like
feel like I'm doing the ethical thing.
mhm.
Like, nice or not, yes, yes, it's nice
'Cause it could've
for
just been like,
someone.
he's an asshole, he's but you're right, the show really does show him, his family, like, things that have happened in his past to kind of it's sort of like you're looking for a reason, like, again, we're looking for the why, like
And I'm looking for the truth,
mhm,
right? Like, I feel like the world is flooded with easy answers that are just not true. And so what does it cost? Like what do you have to do to really confront the truth? And sometimes it means putting aside all of your pain in order to try to see someone clearly, which doesn't mean that you don't stand up for yourself. And it doesn't mean that you don't confront that person with a reality that they may not be ready and willing and prepared for. But you can do that and you can stand up for yourself while also being kind and giving the person the benefit of the doubt, which was the very thing that I didn't get in the first place.
it was shocking the moment in the show where, the woman walks in that's working with the prosecutor, and she's like, "Bad news." Like, the only, DNA at the crime scene was not was, Rudy Guedé's, and it was like a having her say, like, "Bad news," not good news.
Not, "Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Oh, this should inform us,"
right,
like
right, this will move
yeah.
us forward to the in the truth in the direction of the truth. It was like, "Oh, this doesn't align with our theory."
Yes,
Why
and
do you
this is gonna be bad for
and
us,
this is
yeah,
gonna be bad because we already spun this whole sex orgy, whatever.
yeah. I love that you picked up that, like, a minor thing,
No,
like,
because that I was like
that is good writing, right? Like,
right.
that's when, like, so much is conveyed in such an offhand remark,
So much.
right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. I love inside baseball behind the scenes, like hearing your story, obviously, but also how you made your story. By the way, you were executive producer as well.
Yes.
So how involved were you in the
Oh, I mean, soup to nuts, I was involved, and I mean, I have to again, like, experience could have been a very different experience. Like, Hollywood is not typically involving sources with like, not giving sources with quite the opportunity that I was
right.
given today. I mean, I feel like, Monica, obviously Monica Lewinsky is forging the path forward, but I think even so, I feel like I was given more creative input than anyone in my position has ever been given
Mm,
creative input, and that's because my partners, KJ Steinberg, the creator and showrunner, Warren Littlefield, the lead producer, all the people at Hulu and Disney, they really like I could sit down with them and convey like this is what's important to me. This is why this scene, should be the way it is. And I feel like I was really valued as a creative partner. So like from anything from casting decisions to talking about how do we break this story to being on set and giving, notes to, all of that. I felt very creatively embraced and very involved, giving notes on all of the like all the different versions of the episodes. I've seen every single one.
yeah.
And so to finally arrive here, I get to have the satisfaction not just of watching the world live my experience, but also watching the world, like, enjoy the creative work that was
Right.
put into it. Like, I can't tell you how satisfying it was at the premiere to, like, be in a room full of strangers, also freaking nerve-wracking, but who are responding emotively to, the jokes that were put in and
Right. And
and
the
the
little moments, like the little moment we just talked about, but I was on TikTok and it's probably wild for you because it's such a, serious topic, such an important part of our kind of collective history and our core memory. But seeing people pick up on like the minutia, like I
Mm.
saw this girl do like a green screen, TikTok about the show, and she was like talking about the moment with the blood on the bath rug, and she was like, "Did she just say?" I'm not gonna clean her her period blood, like she was making light of that moment, like duh, like, why would you clean your roommate's period blood?
Yeah.
Like, so people were kind of enjoying that moment of, did that actually happen? Did you actually say
Oh, I
that
mean, yeah,
line?
sure. I mean, like when I'm again, like I was being asked these questions over and over, and it felt like every single choice that I had made that morning was being always called into question. Like, oh, why did you go into your house when you saw that the door was open? Like, even just something like that. Like, I would say, oh, I came home, I saw the door was open, and I went inside and to check and see if, like, oh, is anyone here?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, why would you ever go into your house when the door is open? It's like, well, what do you mean? Like, I wasn't expecting there to be a murder inside, like, I
Yeah.
had no idea, like, that's just I feel like it was one of the things that the show does really well is it also shows how when you do not have all of the information, how that changes the way you approach a situation. So it's like for the police to say, well, now we know that there's a murder in there. Now we're going to judge your behavior based upon our knowledge that
Right.
there's a murder in there. Well, you're not putting yourself in my shoes. Like I'm a 20-year-old kid who's never had anything bad happen to me in my life. When I see a front door is open, I just assume that someone accidentally left the front door open. I don't assume that something bad has
You're
happened,
yeah.
like, it's just a completely different mindset, and when you're and I can put myself in the police's shoes and think, well, they spend their they live and breathe every
Right.
single day with the worst of human experiences. They see all of the bad stuff and they assume always the worst of everyone. And that's just not who I was.
Are
That
you
wasn't
like
my
that now?
context.
Like, have you changed in that way? Like, do you think of situations through that
Good
lens?
good question. I mean, I think yes, like I'm not and I think the show does a really incredible job of doing this is showing how I am changed from this experience. I'm no longer just the like Disney princess version of myself that I was when I went to Italy and that a part of me like did not survive the experience, right? A part of me didn't get to come home. And I had to then evolve as a human being with this this darkness that had entered into my life, and I tried not to let that darkness completely take over me.
Mhm.
And it was almost like that version of me that just really believed in the goodness of the world is reasserting itself, but from a also a deep place of like grief and mourning. So yeah, the person I am today is a much more reflective and sad. Like sadness is a big I loved watching Inside Out and joy was absolutely at the reins when I was on my way to Bruges, Italy. And I think that for a very long time, sadness then was took the reins of my life, and now they're sort of holding hands
Mm.
and at the reins together, and I feel like a much better person for that. I feel like I'm a much more effective person in the world for that because I also understand. I understand in a way that I did not understand people's pain. And that makes me also really receptive to the pain of everyone who experienced this, like, perfect storm of a tragedy,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm not just acutely aware of my own pain, like, I'm acutely aware of everyone's. And that's something that was really important for me in the making of this show is it's like, 1, I don't wanna cause more pain, and 2, I want to honor the pain that has been experienced because it's real. And the way that this story has been told for so long has been just so shallow and
Right.
exploitative and scandalous. And that's not like at the heart of the story are real people who, yes, lived a very extreme experience. And some of them did not survive, but like they're real people. And they're still like the majority of us are still living with the consequences of choices that were made out of, you know, fragile egos and not complete understandings of the scenario. Like I think it's really important for people to know how much we didn't know at the very beginning.
I remember obviously living this and watching it on the news and, one of the biggest, like, accusations of the public was, like, the way you, like, behaved around the police officers at first, and Grace does this on the show as well. It's like the yoga in the police station or the kissing Raffaele outside that the police kind of raised an eyebrow. How do you like today sitting here? Are you mad at Amanda, 20-year-old Amanda? Like, why like, if you didn't have? Because 'cause I'm just thinking of me, like, how I would, self-talk and blame myself, like, why'd you like, do you connect to that moment of what you were doing and ever think, if I didn't have these, like, weird moments of maybe acting not like people expected, maybe this wouldn't have snowballed this way?
No.
No.
No. I mean, I used to give myself a lot harder of a time before when the whole world was still I mean, in some ways the whole world no, not the whole world. In some ways, some people still victim blame me for what happened and say like, "Well, even if you had nothing to do with your roommate's murder, you were basically asking for it, like, by the way that you were acting." And, like, there's a contingency of people who assert that, but I just know that that's not true. Like, I wasn't actually acting like a guilty person. Like, there was a guilty person who did act in a very guilty way by fleeing the country
Right.
and assuming a false identity. Like, that like by throwing away his, all his clothes and all the evidence of having committed this crime. Like that's guilty behavior. Being comforted by my boyfriend, stretching after hours of questioning on hard plastic chairs. This is not guilty
Right.
behavior. I feel like instead, what I've really come to recognize is that, and this is something we try to really show in the show, is it's like you see what you want to see. And you can, especially in a world that loves finding fault in women, if you just look at any of our behavior, you're going to find something you don't like. You're going to find something that when you look through the filter of your fault finding filter, you're going to say, "Oh, I would not have done that." Or, "Oh, this, I'm going to like impose some like, oh, she's kissing her boyfriend because she doesn't care about her roommate." It's like, no, maybe she's in shock and she does very much care. And her boyfriend is responding to the fact that she's looking like a deer in headlights and is trying to like bring her back and comfort her. Like, I feel like the world was very, very primed from past
And
experience
look at
of
us now, we're
finding
even
fault in
worse.
women. Yeah.
I mean,
And like to like just cherry pick little moments of people's lives and say, "Oh, let's find fault in her for this reason." I mean, to this day, like even just like I
I
saw
can't
the
imagine.
Daily Mail, talking about the premiere and like they took one photo of me like laughing with my husband and being like, "Look at her laughing her ass off at the premiere." And
Oh
it's
god,
like,
the Daily Mail.
so it's just like this I'm so like used to people trying to find fault in me
Yeah.
and I'm just not buying it anymore. I'm just not. I'm like so not
Like, you've
convinced
reached a
by how
level of
obviously bullshit it is that
yeah.
it's just like, you know,
I mean, the thing is now I'm thinking this is 2007. Maybe there was Facebook.
yeah, so yes, there was
Facebook.
Facebook, but it was like super early
Right, because
early
Facebook was, like,
days.
maybe, like,
The iPhone
2006.
came out that year, the first ever
Yeah.
iPhone. So social media is absolutely at its infancy. the tabloid media, this traditional media, is in this crisis point where they're trying to retain attention because it's being dispersed now online and they don't know, like, their whole economic structure is being called into question. And then all of a sudden, this perfect little story that they can just exploit the crap out
This
of.
was like a tabloid
This was
moment.
this was a tabloid moment, and I think an example of how media was using a story to try to salvage itself and justify itself, but at the expense of the truth.
But it's so, Amanda, it really makes me think about, you know, how much has not changed today. Because the Amber Heard of it all. I mean, so many other not exact, cases in what happened, but the villainization of women, the media. I mean, couldn't imagine if social media was where it is today with the TikToks and the Instagram. How I mean, who knows? Maybe they would have, Karen Reed. I mean, maybe they would have, Karen Reed style, like, helped you and
Sure,
been on
sure.
your side. You never know
I mean, and
what.
even then at the time, like, it
Yeah.
was these early stages of, like, the internet, like, fracturing into into different parts, and, like, some people just, like, odiously hated me and were just maliciously going after me, and other people were just, like, defending me, and, like, really just doggedly, like, gathering the evidence and trying to, like, convince the side. But it was, like, a really like, the first stages of those, like, there wasn't the term echo chamber back in the day, but now that's like a term that we all know and we're all familiar with, and that was happening in this case. And so I think this case helps us reflect upon how those things up emerge,
Mhm.
but also how do we try to unravel them? How do we unspin out of our, like, how do we build bridges between these seemingly opposing, like, opposite and impossible factions, and find common ground? And, like, that's the journey that I, Amanda character, goes on after having experienced this whole horrible adversarial scenario.
When you have a pet, it's like they're part of your family. Literally, in their own way, you take care of them, but they also take care of you. Even if you think you're the best pet parent in the world and, you treat your pet like one of your babies, unpredictable things happen. But fortunately, you can always give your care a boost with ASPCA Pet Health Insurance. Today's episode is sponsored by the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program. So the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program, they offer customizable accident and illness plans, making it easier for pet parents like you to help your pet get the care that they may need. It's been around for over 18 years. They've helped more than 600,000 pets. What's great is that they allow you to customize your plan, helping ensure that your pet's plan is as unique as they are. Vet bills can really add up, especially when you're least expecting it. With ASPCA Pet Health Insurance, it's simple. You use their app to submit a claim and you'll receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/notskinny. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/notskinny. Again, that's aspcapetinsurance.com/notskinny. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance. This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack and hydration sponsor. IQ Bar is the better for you plant protein-based snack made with brain-boosting nutrients to refuel, nourish, and satisfy hunger without the sugar crush. We've talked about this before. I'll say it again. I am a bar girly. I am a snack girly. I will follow nutrition advice, but that will always include me snacking in between meals and always having a bar that I can throw in my bag and feel good about eating. IQ Bar has plant protein bars, and they are the smarter snack choice. They have more fiber, less sugar and carbs than the alternatives. They have amazing hydration mixes and flavors to die for, like blueberry pomegranate. They also have IQ Joe. This is a jitter-free instant coffee packed with 200 milligrams of natural caffeine. With over 20,000 five-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are starting their days on the right foot with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars. They also have hydration mixes and mushroom coffees. You guys, have to try their ultimate sampler pack because that's how you find your favorite flavor. That's how I found out that mine is the banana nut. Right now, IQ Bar is offering my special podcast listener 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the sampler pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text not skinny to 64,000. So you text the word not skinny, all one word, to the number 64,000. That's not skinny to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. Okay, you guys know that I'm obsessed with a good hack, and this one is insane. So listen up. Did you know that you can actually earn points on paying your rent? And that's built rewards. Here's how it works. You pay rent like you normally do, and you rack up points. And not just little random points. We're talking points you can use on travel with over 15 airline and hotel partners, to fitness classes and even home decor. Okay, if you're thinking I don't rent, lucky you, you show off. You can still use the card on dining, travel, and basically anything else. By paying rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. It doesn't stop there, though, guys. Built is about making your entire neighborhood more rewarding. You can dine out at your favorite local restaurants and earn additional points, get VIP treatment at certain fitness studios, and enjoy exclusive experiences just for Built members every month. Built is turning a monthly expense into an opportunity to earn rewards and discover the best that your neighborhood has to offer. Your rent is finally working for you. Earn points on rent and around your neighborhood wherever you call home by going to joinbuilt.com/notskinny. That's joinbuilt, joinbilt.com/notskinny. Make sure to use my URL so they know I sent you. This episode is sponsored by ByHeart. Listen, you guys know this. Noah, first time mom, breastfed for 2.5 years. Loved it, lived for it, loved that that happened. But I knew when I got pregnant with Lenny that this time would be different. I knew I would be introducing formula from the get. So I did a lot of research to make sure the formula that I choose for my baby is the best. Okay. And I found ByHeart. ByHeart is an infant formula made by pediatricians and parents like you. It's one backed by breast milk science and built for babies' brains, bellies, and beyond. Their mission is simple. They make the best formula in the world. They use the latest in breast milk science, and they created a clinically proven, easy to digest infant formula that's made with organic, grass-fed whole milk, certified clean ingredients, and features a patented protein blend that gets closest to breast milk. I felt so confident and so safe and so secure and so happy to be giving ByHeart to my baby. So this is my recommendation to you. Curious about ByHeart? Head to byheart.com. That's spelled BYHEART, and use code NOTSKINNY30 to save 30% off your first subscription order for a limited time. ByHeart is also available at Target, Walmart, and major retailers nationwide. Check them out in stores today. Additional terms and conditions apply. The code is NOTSKINNY30 when you go to byheart.com. What is the best thing that has happened since the show came out? Did you connect with
Oh, well, it's
anybody?
been super recent.
I
I mean,
I
it's just
know.
like a
Well, I'm,
day
like,
ago.
in it
Yeah.
with the screeners a little bit, so I'm, like, living you're right, only 2 episodes are out. By this time this comes out, there might be 4, but has anything I'm wondering if you connected with anybody maybe that you haven't since it happened.
I mean, I've honestly been, like, on the hook promoting.
Right.
So, I feel like I'm actually headed home tomorrow, and I feel like that's when I'm gonna have a time to settle
Yeah.
and take in. I mean, I'm very happy for the actors and, like, my creative partners that people seem to be really recognizing how bold this show is as well. Like, this show, like, breaks the mold of true crime. It breaks the mold of biopic. It's, like, took some really, like, strong, swings at, like, creative choices that I think are really good. And so I want us, like, see how people absorb it and, like, appreciate that, like, this is attempting to do something much more than what you would expect a show like this to do.
Do you see yourself continuing? in this world of, like,
Hell
making Oh,
yes.
yeah?
I
Making
mean, now
movies
I'm
and
like 4
television?
years of executive producing this show. I've been
Wow,
working on the
it's
show for 4 years,
wow.
and I've learned so much. Like, again, KJ Steinberg really took me under her wing, really supported me, really I mean, I co-wrote the final episode with her.
Mm,
And then, Warren Littlefield has been like mentoring me and my husband throughout this entire process. And so we've learned so much and we really enjoy the process of telling stories. And like, it would be awesome if I could help someone else tell their story, or it would be awesome if like I could inhabit another person's
mm,
like identity for a while instead of being so like deeply entrenched in my
and your own.
own.
Are you done telling this story? Is this the, like
I mean, I don't know
you don't
because
know?
like it's a living thing in me. It's still evolving
Right.
in me. So I feel like it just really depends upon what happens and how I mean, again, because like trauma is a thing that you carry with you your entire life. And so in a way, this experience will inform me
Yeah.
my whole life and it will inform me as a storyteller my whole life. Do I know what that's gonna look like down the road?
Mhm.
Not necessarily, but, like and there I feel like the one other thing that's really interesting about this story is there's so many things to unpack. Like, if you wanna focus on one thing, like, if you wanna just focus on the misogyny, like, you can, like,
You're
go
right.
down the rabbit hole. If you
Yeah.
wanna focus on, the interrogation, you can go down the rabbit hole. If you wanna talk about, like, what is it like to be abroad and, different, like, the clash of cultures, you can go down the rabbit hole. So, like, there's so many different ways that I have over the years processed this story from so many different angles. But again, like I think that this also is a show that is so definitive in a way. And so I don't know, we'll have to see. I'm excited also to pursue other stories is the
Yeah.
thing.
You're so right about the show having these different facets. Because even for me, all those little things that Amanda Amanda here, Amanda there,
I'm in a
is b
minute.
Amanda here, is being asked, and if you're looking at her from a guilty lens, then it's like, "Why was her phone off? Why didn't
Right.
she answer?"
Right.
But what the show does so well, I feel like, is show, like, the scene of her shutting off her phone, and you're like, "That's completely normal," especially before smartphones and all that stuff,
Right.
like, I don't think I studied abroad, I didn't have a phone, I was calling my mom from, like, a card somewhere, like
Exactly.
so this is international too, who's paying for international calling?
Exactly.
But when you showed that, like, "Oh my god, my boss, didn't shutting off my phone, I don't want my dad to bother me." So it was like, "Oh, duh," or like we talked about before, you walking into to the apartment and not thinking about why it was open. By the way, you guys, this show has seeped into and I have to tell this really quickly, seeped
Yeah.
into my soul and brain because last night, after I've been watching the show, I forgot that I put my son to sleep in my room because he had asked, he was like, "Can I sleep in your room?" Yes. Forgot. Was on the phone later at night with, like, my sister. I'm screaming on the phone, "La, la, la, la," going to my room, turning on the light, going to pee with the door open, whatever, whatever, and I'm like, "No, da." I look over, I see my son sleeping on the bed, like, snoring because they get
Yeah.
to an age, you guys, where they can sleep through
Anything.
anything,
Yes.
and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm so fucking how did I not pay attention?" So, of course, I think of Amanda Knox because I'm watching the show and thinking of her, because you guys showed that moment, all those moments, like getting in, shower, tippy-toeing out, blow dryer, see the poop. And I felt like I put myself in Amanda Knox's shoes in that moment because I was like, it would be like, "Are you okay?
Yeah.
How did you walk into the room, not see your son sleeping, turn on the light, go pee with the door open, scream on the phone?" All that to say is not only is the show really good, it really took over me because that's when I get into something, then it lives
Yeah.
with me, and I'm, like, thinking of her in the moment that I'm
Oh,
in.
thank you for empathizing. But yeah, you're
Shit.
right. Like here we are, and this is how this experience is so universal, and the story is so universal. Is it's like we're all going about our lives, and we're not just seeing the world clearly. We have our certain set of expectations as we approach every situation, and until we don't always have all the information because we're
Mhm.
just going about our lives. And like I remember there's this really beautiful moment that KJ wrote in the first episode, what that was like hinting at what was to come for Amanda.
Mm.
And it's when she's walking home from Raffaele's house. She hasn't yet discovered, she's on her way home to discover that it's a crime scene now, right? And she's just la da da singing to herself, la 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 la, and then whoom, she almost gets hit by a moped.
Mhm.
And it's just and then she's just like, "Huh, and then goes back, da, 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 like, because 'cause you're not expecting to get hit by a moped that
Right.
day, and then you don't, and so you're like, "Oh, alright, never mind, alright, da, da, da," like,
Right.
it's just like you're just in a completely different momentum.
Yeah.
All of us are bringing to every situation our own momentum, and sometimes that leads to a horrific and horrible crash.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in this case, and the untangling and trying to, like, heal the wounds of that incident of these people who, like, ran into each other in all the wrong ways
Yeah.
is part of what this show is attempting to do.
I know it's really important to, remember obviously that this happened to a lot of people, happened to you, happened to Meredith, who is no longer with us. But obviously, because you're sitting here, I want to ask you, it's so easy. Like we said, things happen in life. You're walking down the street, you could get hit by that moped and
Yeah.
fucking,
That's it.
and that's it. And that's life. Like things happen. People are in car accidents. Like, oh, if I didn't stop for gas at that one gas station,
Yep.
I wouldn't have been. So how do you because it's been a long time. How do you reconcile that? Like, why did this happen to me? How did this if I didn't go to Perugia, if I didn't pick that flat, like, how do you do that to kinda get out of the loop?
I mean, I think that I tend to lean on gratitude for what I have to, like, as a reminder, because, like, again, like, the way I've felt I've been able to approach this scenario so that it doesn't feel so, like, personally harmful is it's like I was in the middle of a natural disaster. And this natural like, I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time when a natural disaster happened, which was, this young man who was spiraling out of control and aggressive towards women, broke into our house and, like, talk about wrong place at the wrong time. My roommate who did everything right, who, like, never walked home alone. Like like that bothers me to this day. Like
Mhm.
the reality that in life, you can do everything right and
Right.
still get hit by a frickin' train.
Right.
Like,
It's not like you didn't look both
no,
ways. Yeah,
no.
exactly.
And so, like, stuff will happen to us, and there is no way to necessarily prepare for it.
Right.
If you survive it, how do you keep it from diminishing you? How do you take ownership over who you become in the aftermath instead of allowing, like, the hurt to own you?
Mhm.
How do you own the hurt? And that's been my personal journey and something that, gratitude has helped me. You speak about a car crash, like, literally, like, 2 days ago, a very, very good friend of mine got into a very, very bad car crash and called me and, like, almost died and is very much like, I'm like, they called me to be like, how do I deal with this? Because they were like, I didn't even know they were in the hospital for like a month. Anyway, so it's just like this whole finally sort of wrapping their heads around the fact that, like, I almost died. Uh, how do I deal with that? And it's like, well, you're alive.
Right.
You're alive. And, like, I know that you're in pain and I know that there's a lot of struggle that now is ahead of you, but you're alive.
Be alive.
And, like, what a gift to be alive. And so, like, hold on to what you still have, and also know that, like, the pain doesn't exist forever. Just like all the stuff that you have that's good doesn't exist forever, neither does the pain. It evolves with you.
Mhm.
And if you decide to be the guiding force of that pain, it can evolve into something that isn't self-destructive, but something that really, like, propels you forward in a positive way.
I love that. Your murder conviction was overturned, obviously. But the slander charge is really interesting to me because we don't have that in the United States, right?
Yeah.
Because he didn't Patrick, I don't wanna say his last name wrong,
Lumumba.
Lumumba, when you were being interrogated, we see this on the show for the 53 hours, and they start telling you that you texted your boss and you said, "See you later," and they don't get that it's the slang, that they thought you had a meeting with him and that your alibi is shot, and so you guys watch the show if you haven't, but you'll see this moment and you end up saying his name because it was thrown at you and you were gaslit into thinking it was him. So basically, Italy, like
They
they're
held me criminally liable
yeah,
for lying to the police and saying that somewhat they what they claim is that I knowingly and willingly falsely accused an innocent man. That is not what happened. One, I didn't know who committed the murder. So I didn't know who was innocent or who was guilty. I didn't knowingly do anything. And I neither did that willingly either.
yeah,
But like they say that I wasn't even being interrogated, I was being interviewed, which is why I didn't have the right to an attorney. The European Court of Human Rights disagrees with them and says that I absolutely was being interrogated and I did have the right to an attorney and my human rights were violated. So, yeah, here I am 18 years later with the Italian justice system saying that I am guilty of maliciously slandering an innocent person, and 3 of the years that I spent in jail were deserved. And that is patently false. So I'm fighting that case to this
you're
day.
still fighting it. Okay. What implications does it have on your life aside from just knowing that that's
I have a criminal record, so
th-
that's
that does that does it transfer over like it's
well, like, for
is
instance, recently I was invited to do, a little bit of work in Australia,
mhm.
and I was denied entry due to my criminal background.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's important to
Yes. Yeah, no,
it's
it's
not just a principle thing that
yeah, I
that
mean, there's the
motivates it.
principle of the thing,
Yeah.
but there's also a practical reality
Yeah.
of the thing, and, like, I and again, this is something that you see a lot in wrongful conviction cases where, like, there's this tendency to try to convict the person of, like, a lesser crime or to say that they're at fault for their own wrongful conviction so that there is no accountability on the part of the law enforcement who put an innocent person in jail in the first place. And so one thing that one of my attorneys has always said is that the only reason I was ever convicted of that was as a contentina, which is a little contentment to the prosecution so that they wouldn't be completely humiliated.
Got you. That makes sense. That makes sense. But it's interesting because at first when this was spoken about, I thought it was Patrick, right? Like you slandered my name, that this was
I
coming
mean,
from
he did
him.
have a civil attorney who was there in court acting as a kind of second prosecutor. He was the
Uh-huh.
one, in fact, it was Patrick Lumumba's attorney who invented the Luciferina term. He was the one who started calling me Luciferina, female Lucifer. So Patrick Lumumba's attorney was ruthless
Mm,
in his pursuit to get compensation for Patrick for his losses. What he didn't recognize, though, was that I was not at fault for Patrick's arrest. It was the police who arrested him, and it was the police who held him, even though there was no evidence of his involvement in this crime, and even though he had an ironclad alibi. So I feel like there was a misdirection of trying to find fault and trying to attribute blame for this a very clearly bad thing that happened to my boss, Patrick Lumumba.
so this sort of thing doesn't happen in the US, right? Where that does no, like the slander,
Ah, sure.
this
Yeah. Yeah, so
this
yeah,
charge.
and that's a really interesting point, like, there are a lot of cases of wrongful convictions here in the US where like, are you familiar with the Central Park 5 case?
Do they have a show about it?
They do. Yeah,
Okay. So
yes.
I think I watched the show,
Yeah,
yeah.
so, I mean, one of the things that is it's a very famous false confessions case where
With the kids,
yes,
right?
these teenagers were all, coerced into implicating each other.
Right.
And if what had happened in my case happened in their case, not only would they have all been accused of, committing this horrible, like, rape and attack on this woman, but they also would have been accused of falsely accusing each other. And so they would have been charged and convicted of that lesser crime, and they didn't obviously, that they didn't get charged of that crime here.
Because that doesn't happen
That
here.
I mean, yeah, they don't
We're right.
charge for that
They
kind of
don't
thing.
charge for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Patrick Lumumba, is he still alive?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Is he?
absolutely, yeah.
Did you speak to him? Is there
I
any
have spoken to him,
amended?
and I mean, it's tough because he I mean, he was wronged, right? deeply wronged, and he's convinced that I'm the one who wronged him.
Yeah.
And, like, I try to explain to him what really happened, but I think that he's just so entrenched in the narrative that his own attorney represented to him, and so it's just been, like, a non-starter. And it's unfortunate because that's not uncommon. And again, it like really taught it lends to this idea that like once this boulder of a narrative starts going down the hill, it just gains momentum and it's so hard to stop. And like at a certain point, like it just wrecks everything and there's only so much like damage control that you can do.
I know that you've spoken before about how you didn't get to, like, properly ever meet Meredith's family, grieve with them, speak to them, anything.
Yeah.
Do you think that might change with the show coming out?
I mean, I never give up hope.
Okay.
You know, I'm always a hopeful person. I also know that like the way that this story has been told, the what happened to Meredith, like the truth of what happened to Meredith got lost
Right.
in this like whole scandalous story. And for good reason, there is pain and grief in that. And so, but I have hope.
You have hope. Raffaele.
Yeah. He was
Yeah?
here for the premiere.
Oh, he came for the premiere.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that my eyes were playing tricks on me. I was like, "Was that the actor? Was that the real?" So he was there,
Yeah, he was there. And the actor was there.
scarf and all.
Well, no,
No
he wasn't
scarf.
there.
Imagine he wore the scarf.
No, no.
Raffaele was here.
Yeah.
What was that like
I
after
mean,
all these years?
well, I think the last time I saw him was 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 years ago, and, I mean, we've kept up over the years. I mean, he's in Italy, obviously, and, like, we've both had I mean, talk about an ordeal of, like, the long tail of
After
trauma.
dating for a week,
After dating
technically.
for a week, we go through this, like, horrible experience together, and now we're living the rest of our lives with, like, the stigma of this accusation hanging over us and, like, really being a huge defining moment in our lives.
Was it for him though, do you think, as much as for you?
Yeah.
It was.
100%. I mean,
Mhm.
absolutely. Like, he
Okay.
did not come out of this story unscathed.
Mhm.
He was accused of heinous crimes, and, like, the stigma of that hovers over him to this day, and he's worked so hard, and he's done so well considering all of the, obstacles that he's faced and the slammed doors in his face. He's really had to, like, prove his innocence every single day, and but he's doing much better now. And like, we still are very connected and are processing this experience in our own ways. I think that it's really cool. We actually are both big meditators, and that's been a huge, huge help because like one of the things that meditation teaches you is that if you just like sit quietly with yourself right here, right now, you're okay. Like no matter what is going on in the world, and all the problems that you need to solve. Like right now, you're okay. And like just knowing that, like knowing that there's a place to retreat to where you're okay is such a relief.
So you connected on that with him.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so how did you think to invite him to the premiere? How did that happen?
I mean, this is a huge story for him as well, and I
Mhm.
I wanted him to like to have a sense of like here are all these people who have been working so hard to tell this story right. And obviously like this show is very grounded in my perspective,
Right.
right? Like I'm going back to Italy to confront my prosecutor. That is something that I did. And to understand and appreciate that decision, we have to go back in time and relive this terrible experience from my perspective. But like something that I really wanted to do was to honor things that he lost, like through this and how that impacted our relationship. Like one of the sort of lesser, or like it's a big thread in the series for me, but I'm curious to see how like the audience picks it up is this story of love lost, like the love that could have been, but then was tortured through this torture that we went under. Like there's have you seen the final episode
I
of the
didn't.
series?
I
Okay,
didn't.
there's this beautiful scene between me and Raffaele where we reckon with the fact, like it is not lost on us that like if we hadn't met, you know, 7 days before this crime occurred, his life would have been completely different. And does he regret ever having met me? And, like, we have that discussion.
Tune in for his answer, I
Tune
guess.
in, yeah.
Ooh, that's a hook. I had another question about Raffaele, and this is a logistical one for me, a practical one. Did he actually turn on you in his interrogation and say that you weren't together that night, as it says on the show, or were the
Yeah, I
police
mean,
lying?
yeah, all of these are so what happened is, again, he was put through the same kind of horrific scenario, and the police wrote up a thing for him, and he signed it out of, like, just exhaustion and
I
fear and
see.
confusion. So, like, same scenario, and I
Okay.
do not hold any of that against
Okay.
him.
So it wasn't like okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense because I was like, "Oh my god, why'd he turn on her?" But you're saying it was the same
Oh, yeah, and
situation.
there's like, in the series, we see it's really cool, we see the same scenes from different angles, and so we also see his interrogation and what was happening at the same time that I was being interrogated in a later episode so we can appreciate, like, what was going on.
Mm. Have you returned to Italy since 2022?
I have,
Okay.
yes. So we talk about the slander trial.
Mhm.
So the European Court of Human Rights sanctioned Italy for violating my human rights during my interrogation, and used that ruling to overturn my slander conviction in Italy. And then I was sent back for retrial. So I was tried again in 2024 for this crime, and they found me guilty again. So I'm appealing again to the European Court of Human Rights as we speak, and
What
that
is
is
it
the
like
ongoing
being in
journey.
Italy with the Italians probably still screaming at you in Italian and being in a court and being like, does that
It's so
bring you
hard.
back?
I hate being in courtrooms. I hate it. And standing in front of a a court of, people who are not my peers, and pouring my heart out to them about the worst experience of my life, and then having them go into a room and come back and say, "We don't believe you and you deserve to be punished," is, like, so heartbreaking. It's it's so hard. And like, I'm being punished for having been harmed.
Yeah.
And it's so, like, at this point in my life, like, I know what happened, and I know that I'm not at fault and that I was tortured. But for that not to be, like, officially recognized and validated
You're gonna keep fighting
is
in
an
this.
ongoing trauma.
Yeah.
And so I'm still carrying it to this day.
Like you really feel like that's maybe the last missing piece of
Sure.
feeling kind of more of a closure with this.
Especially the case,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
With the case.
with the case, certainly.
Yeah.
Um,
I
with
understand that. But does it
with the
feel like
grief, no,
do
no.
you feel like you're fighting with this specifically like a it's just like a battle? Because I feel like if they're, the way they're portrayed on the show, so hard-headed, so keen on making you out to be this person, and you were saying before what your lawyer said, like, this is the thing they have, and they're not gonna let it go. The
Mhm.
contentata.
The contentina,
The
yeah.
contentina. Are you not letting yourself think negatively? Are you like, "I'm gonna keep fighting even though"
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about life is, like, you fight for what you know is right, not
Right,
knowing if you're going to get
right.
you're not knowing if you're gonna be vindicated and acknowledged, but that doesn't stop you from fighting for what you know is right. So, I have to be okay with uncertainty, and that's been my entire adult life.
Well, I hope that that happens for you.
Thank you.
I really hope that that happens for you. I think this was like a theme in our conversation because I think I, now knowing you a little bit better, kind of know the answer. But I'll just ask you before we're done. Do you ever think that you'll truly move on from this?
Uh, it's a frustrating answer, yes and no, in the sense that, like, in a way, I already have moved on from it because I feel free. I wrote a book that came out earlier this year called Free, and it's about, like, trying after having my freedom stolen from me, how do I make sense of that, and how do I reclaim freedom when I feel like freedom isn't what I thought it was anymore? What does it mean to be free? And today, I do feel free. Like, I do not feel like I'm at the mercy of someone else. I feel like I have agency in my life. And no matter what, the Italian justice system decides, it doesn't like have any say over who I am. I,
Right.
I know who I am. I know the trajectory of my life. Like, I know that I am in sync with the truth and with, an ethical decision making matrix. Like, I feel very comfortable with myself and my decisions and my place in the world that I have fought for. And so, in that way, I have moved on
Mhm.
because I don't feel trapped anymore. But does this ever go away?
Mm.
No, no. This is my life,
Yeah,
and I can embrace that.
and you can embrace that. Well, thank you so much for coming. Personal,
Yeah.
I wanna know about your tattoos,
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of
if you
them, but
can
are you
share.
most curious about this
This
one?
and that one.
This one and this one?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this one, are you familiar with the semicolon
Yes, so that's the
tattoos?
sen yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. Anxiety,
Well, yeah, so, this is
depression.
originally, yeah, depression, suicidal ideation, the idea being that you think your life is at an end, but actually it's just a pause.
Yeah.
And the girl who gave me this was very early on in my journalistic career of interviewing people, was a young girl named Daisy Coleman, who had survived being raped and taken advantage of at a very young age. And then when she went to the police, she was not believed and then slut shamed in her local community. And she attempted to take her own life and thankfully survived, but went on to like tell her story and went on to become a tattoo artist. And so when I interviewed her, I had her tattoo this
Oh,
for
wow.
me.
Did you relate to that one
Oh,
as well?
absolutely. Because,
I mean,
I felt like my life was over and it wasn't.
and it wasn't.
The sad thing about this one is, Daisy is no longer with us because, she still struggled with all of the stuff, all of the trauma that she experienced, and then a series of events, including the untimely death of her younger brother, and, like, all of that just became overwhelming, and
So this is
so
extra meaningful, like, it's
extra, because this
extra.
is me carrying this young woman who I encountered forward.
Yeah.
Um This one is a resistor symbol from electrical engineering. And for me, it is a symbol of like the world is going to give you energy, right? It's not always going to be great energy. You don't have to take it in and you don't have to be a conduit for that energy. You know how like sometimes you'll start off on the wrong foot and you and your, spouse will just be sort of like nitpicking at each other and it's like, you know what? Like you don't actually have to like be in this negative feedback loop.
Mhm.
You can just like stop it and start over.
Mhm.
And so for me this is a symbol both of like being really mindful about the kinds of energy that I take in and the kinds of energy that I put out, but also similarly information. Like there's a lot of crazy bad information that comes our way every day. I don't have to be a conduit of that. I can be skeptical, I can be mindful. I can I can decide does this is this truthful or is this just,
What is it called? Oh, oh,
a resistor symbol?
a
So
resistor
it
symbol.
resists the current that
I
it
love it.
restricts a current that goes
Let's get it,
through.
guys.
Yeah.
Tattoo people, let's get it.
Ta-da! Yeah, my husband and I both have these.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah,
Thank you so much for coming on. It was so lovely to meet you. You
yeah.
guys go stream The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox. It's on Hulu. I love that shows have started not coming out all at once, so it's not binging. It's you're waiting. You're waiting for the next
It's
episode.
a hard one to
It's a
binge
hard
too.
one.
It's a
Right.
lot.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.